Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more to Indaba Africa. This is Chris here bringing you news and updates from across Africa. Today's topic are disturbing events taking place in Libya, the North African country formerly led by Muammar Gaddafi. On Monday, the 25th of May 2020, as many as 1,600 foreign mercenaries pulled back from the front lines south of the capital of Tripoli to Bani Wahid, 145 kilometers southeast of the capital. They were reportedly moved there by as many as 7 transport aircraft identified as AN-32s, Antonov 32s. The Antonov 32 can transport as many as 42 paratroopers or 50 civilians. So this would be sufficient to carry these troops out of the battle zone, move them further south to consolidate positions, set up a defensive perimeter, or prepare for an offensive. However, that's not the disturbing news. What is truly interesting is that on Tuesday, the 26th of May 2020, the U.S. Africa Command issued a public press release in which they included aerial imagery of a MiG-29 Fulcrum located at Al Jufra airfield in central Libya. Now, this is one, according to U.S. Africa Command's public affairs officer, Colonel Chris Carnes, this is one of 14 MiG-29 and Su-24 aircraft that were tracked from Russia, transiting through Syria, and at some point were repainted to cover their Russian military markings and then flown into central Libya. Now the mask has come off, ladies and gentlemen. Moscow can continue to deny their involvement in Libya, but it simply is impossible. To date, the Wagner Group, a shadowy Russian private military contractor, has provided as many as 1,200 mercenaries fighting on behalf of the Libyan National Army under the direction of Khalifa Haftar. Khalifa Haftar is a rebel leader from the eastern part of Libya whose forces drove on Tripoli as late as 13 months ago. However, did not take the city and sat in position south of the city for the last 13 months. But a recent government offensive in the last number of days, government forces backed by Turkish military, has pushed back Haftar's forces. The mercenaries were moved to the south, and then the Russian government sent these aircraft in, 14 of these high-performance recent aircraft to Libya, and it's impossible to deny that this is a government-related action. This marks a steep escalation in Russia's involvement in the Libya conflict. It seems clear that Russian officials are at least interested in backing Haftar so that they wind up with greater influence on the southern rim of the Mediterranean basin. We can see already the Russians, having denied their involvement in Syria for a long period of time, it became painfully obvious later that they were involved in Syria. And now with a foothold in the eastern Mediterranean in Syria, with its relations with the government there, and seeking one for hopefully what it hopes, in Russia's view, to be ultimately the ruling government in Libya under Haftar. The Russians are backing that horse with high-performance aircraft. These aircraft can be used for close air support and or for air-to-air combat, although that's unlikely. Most likely they'll be used for close air support in support of an upcoming offensive or for a further withdrawal of forces to consolidate further in the south or east of Libya. This, as I said, was quite an unusual situation in which U.S. Africa Command issued aerial imagery of the event. And you see here in the center, highlighted in green there, the MiG-29, one of those aircraft at the Al Jufra airfield in Libya, central Libya. And I'll only quote a couple things here. It came out of U.S. Africa Command in its press release. U.S. Army General Stephen Townsend, who's commander of Africa Command, said the following: Russia is clearly trying to tip the scales in its favor in Libya. Just like I saw them doing in Syria, they're expanding their military footprint in Africa using government-supported mercenary groups like Wagner. General Townsend continued saying, for too long, Russia has denied the full extent of its involvement in the ongoing Libyan conflict. Well, there's no denying it now. We watched as Russia flew fourth-generation jet fighters to Libya every step of the way. Neither the LNA nor private military companies can arm, operate, and sustain these fighters without state support they are getting from Russia. In addition to that, U.S. Air Force's Europe Commander General Jeff Harrigan said the following: if Russia ceases basing on Libya's coast, the next logical step is they deploy permanent long-range anti-access aerial denial capabilities, or A2AD. It's a serious concern and consideration for the U.S. military as it seeks unfettered access to the Mediterranean in the interest of maritime security for nations that use the Mediterranean Sea, including the United States, North Africa, African nations, and countries around the world, and those bordering on the European side of the Mediterranean. So once again, disturbing events taking place this week in Libya as it becomes clear that Russia is fully in the game and backing Khalifa Haftar's forces, the Libyan National Army, which is currently on the retreat, withdrawing after engagement with the government forces located just south of Tripoli. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an interesting development, not the least of which is to say it's quite surprising that the U.S. government has issued this information so publicly and so quickly after it took place. It is an indication, in my estimation, of just how serious this situation is and how serious Washington is taking it. The Libyan National Army and its allies, there are some foreign countries that support it, as are foreign countries supporting the Government of National Accord, which is the United Nations recognized government based in Tripoli. It has support, including Turkish support, as I mentioned, but other foreign nations are backing Khalifa's forces, Khalifa Haftar's forces. The deployment of the MiG-29s and the Su-24 puts Russia in a position to be the kingmaker and also could salvage the defensive or offensive capabilities of Haftar's forces. And once again, AFRICOM's public release of aerial imagery and of these very public statements identifying, calling out Russia is a very strong indication that Washington has grave concerns about what Russia is up to in Libya these days. Well, if you like this video, ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you feel free to subscribe to this channel, Indaba Africa, by pushing that subscribe button right down there. And I'll cover more events on this topic as they unfold. If you've got questions or comments, please leave them below in the questions and comments section. I'll be happy to read all of them, and I'll answer them if I'm able to. And finally, if you like this video or at least found it thought-provoking or interesting, please smash the like button, as likes drive viewership. And I thank you for your time, and I hope that you found this interesting or valuable information and analysis. This has been a production of the Indaba Africa Group. I'm Chris. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant day.